What's up, everyone? Welcome to Campbell's Coins, the Morgan Silver Dollar. It is a favorite coin to collect stack by many people, and by some it's viewed as a money pit. I'm going to go over all those pitfalls, and I'm going to go over the 5 best Morgans that you can collect and why, coming up. Now, before I get into anything, of course, I'm going to throw out my disclaimer. These are my opinions and mine alone, and I am certainly not telling you what to do. What works for me and what I have seen may not necessarily happen for you. That being said, let's get into it. Millions of Morgans were created from 1878 to 1904, and then again in 1921. Many, and I do mean a huge, huge amount, millions, hundreds of millions, were melted down during the 1920s, 1970s, and 2000s. However, a lot still remain. Some large hoards are still being discovered today, which tends to lower the prices of those that already exist. But this is becoming more and more infrequent, if not non-existent. All of these points have a common theme, and the common theme is low numbers, high demand. And also, before I dive into things, there was a time leading up to the 1960s where some common date Morgans, common date that we would consider common date, were considered extremely rare. And it wasn't until the discovery of a lot of these hoards, like the GSA and the Treasury hoard, that these extremely rare Morgans suddenly became very common. And prices on these Morgans went from thousands upon thousands of dollars to $50 almost overnight. But like I said, these hoards are not being discovered as much. There used to be, I think, one at least every 10 years, and now it's one every 20 years. So the frequency is certainly dropping off, and the specific types that are being found are not the key date coins that were out there. So I think this is a great list if you are a Morgan collector, or if you are a collector in general who's just getting out started and they don't want to go buy a whole bunch of Morgans and find out, oh crap, I can't sell these, because that does happen. There are Morgans out there that if you buy, even if at a great price, they're a tough sell. You have to find a really huge Morgan fiend that would want to buy these. And I'm talking about like the common dates. You can buy common date BU Morgans for about $35. And one point I wanted to address is each of these coins does not contain a full ounce of silver. It contains 0.7734 ounces, troy ounces of silver. So it isn't a full ounce of silver. And yes, almost every Morgan, including those that are in really poor shape, sell for above spot price. So if spot price is $17, the actual silver content is probably going to be around $11, maybe $12. So I need to rephrase. A lot of those Morgans, even in crappy condition, will sell just over melt. Some unscrupulous coin dealers, however, will buy those under melt. So just understand that there is a difference between melt and spot price, and that most Morgans sit above spot price and their melt price. And that is due to their popularity, their age, they're extremely old, and their diminishing supply. And I do say diminishing because as soon as there is a surge in silver price, let's say to $50, there's often a meltdown that occurs of coins that are currently below that $50 spot price. So let's say that you bought a Mint State 64 18840. It's a very common date coin. There's millions of them out there. But if spot price rose to, let's say, $60, well, those coins are only worth like 55 bucks. And someone might turn it in, and that coin dealer or pawn shop would just send it off to a refinery, because it's not worth, in their eyes, it's not worth more than the spot price of silver. And so I would say every couple decades we see an attrition of Morgans, and the Morgans that remain become more and more rare. Well, this list is designed to help you pick a Morgan that will retain its value. Pick a Morgan that has a high popularity to it, so that if you had to sell it, I always fit these into my conversations. I want people to buy pieces that not only they enjoy, but if they had like a crunch, in terms of financial crunch, and they had to sell that item in order to get over that hump, or to save, that maybe they need the car repaired, or maybe their kid had to go to the doctor, or their pet, and in order to get that extra cash they had to sell this. I don't want those people to take a loss on their item. I want them to be able to A, find a seller immediately, and B, at least get what they paid back for it. And so I think this list covers a lot of those, and I'll explain why. So my first one that I alluded to is key date coins. Morgans are not being made anymore, and as I mentioned also before, a lot of them are being melted down. A lot of key date coins, however, are those coins that have either low mintages or very few of that year and mint remain. A 1893S comes to mind. I think there's 100,000 minted. So 100,000 of them were minted. That's it. That's pretty low for a Morgan, where some of them were minted in the millions per year. Out of that 100,000, how many do you think remain? I think for that one they have like 5,000 remain. So a coin that's in really, it's just good shape, which is like GO4, it's pretty worn, I think those go for like $3,000, $2 to $3,000. So a key date coin is essential in not only preserving your wealth, but also making it grow, in terms of if you held on to that for 50 years, it would be worth more at that 50-year mark than it is today. Some of my other points will also tie into this. One key date coin, it's not even that much of a key date, and it is this 1894S. A lot of the San Francisco Mint coins in the 90s, the 1890s, are extremely rare, including the early years. The same goes for the mid 80s. They just didn't mint that many, they were used up. So examples in mint state condition are hard to come by. This coin here is XF40. It may look a little bit dirty, but it actually is a really nice example. It has a lot of, it has a little bit of luster left that I'm actually shocked that it came back as XF40, but it has just enough luster that I really like this coin, and it is a fine example for an XF40. I'm a little bit disappointed, like I said, that it didn't grade a little bit higher, but oh well. But in this grade, this coin is around $250, $300. And if there's a high demand for it, you can certainly get more for it. If you had a higher grade, that price just seems to exponentially grow. So key date coins are really good, because if you were to get a common date coin in XF40, you're looking at $18. So it's not terrible. It's certainly above spot price and above its melt price. However, if you had to get rid of it, I mean, it would be fairly easy to do, but you might take a hit on it. With this coin, it would preserve your wealth and you would be able to sell it for what you bought it for. Not only that, but in a few years, it will also grow in price and you'll be able to turn it around for a profit, or your family would be able to. The second type of Morgan is Morgan's designated PL and DMPL in any mint state grade. If you were to look at auction house prices, the past auctions, even the PCGS price guide, you'll notice that Morgans and PL and DMPL rarely go down in price. Do you remember those hoards that I was talking about? Well, when those hoards are discovered, out of those hoards, very few of those coins grade PL or DMPL. And not only that, but coins that are existing out there don't magically switch to PL or DMPL. So there is an extremely finite amount of them out there. And not only that, but they are also in high demand. So most PL and DMPL coins, even if it is a low grade and a common date, will go for around 80 at the lowest, probably to about $110. And that is if it is a common date low grade coin. If you were to get a less common date coin and a higher grade, that price goes up a few $100, if not into the thousands of dollars. And I have two examples of that. This 1881 is a common date coin. However, not very many of these common date coins graded PL or DMPL. And therefore, this coin is worth around $200, even though it's a mint state 63. If it were, if you could find PLs in this year in this mint, it'd probably be worth about $100 still. But proof-like and deep mirror proof-like coins are just very difficult to come by, and the ones that exist, well, I hope they're not being melted down, but you never know. So their price remains, I would say, not stagnant, but they don't drop like some of the common date coins might. You might see those go for $75, and then the next year they're going for $60. So you don't want to buy something that will drop in price, and proof-like and deep mirror proof-like coins tend to hold their price, and that is especially true for a key date coin or a high grade coin. This one right here is an 1898 in mint state 65. So it is not, it's not much of a key date, but not a whole lot of them are in deep mirror proof like, and this one happens to be a mint state 65. So it's worth around $1,100. And I actually think this one is really stunning. I was shocked when I found it. I just thought it was a great example of deep mirror proof like and a 65. Just really, really nice. And it also has like a tinge of toning on its rim, like an orangish yellow. Not a fan of that. And it kind of leads to my second point, actually. The next type of Morgan that is a good type to stack are most toners. And I say most toners, oh, you know what? I want to go back to proof-like and deep mirror proof-like, because there's another type in there. And that is the plus and star designation coins. So this one here is an 1879S graded mint state 65 plus. If you were to go to PCGS's website and you look at the populations for these coins, you'll see that mint state 64 and mint state 65, there are coins typically for most grades like in the thousands. But as soon as you go to a plus designation, the amount of coins within that group dwindles down to sometimes as low as the hundreds. I think that 1881O in MS63PL, that's in the hundreds. I don't know for that for sure. I think I might have that wrong actually. Sorry. So take that back. But anyway, this coin here, the plus designation, and then NGC gives a star designation. Those are also some coins that I'm kind of lumping into the PL and DMPL, not because it means proof-like or deep mirror proof-like, but it just has that extra little flair to it. There's something about that coin that it's not exactly proof-like, and it's not exactly a 66, but it's just a little extra. It's just a little something. So pluses and coins with the star designation, those are also, I'm kind of lumping those in with the PL and DMPLs. Okay, moving on to number 3, and that is most toners. Toners are kind of a tricky topic. It's tricky because 20 years ago, most people looked at toners like a diseased coin. They didn't like them. Most of them wanted blast white coins, and if it had any sort of toning, it was just a dirty coin, and they dipped them and they sent them off. So a lot of coins that could have been like really amazing toners, we have lost to history because those coins were dipped. My other caveat to toners are I'm worried that it could be a fad. So number 3 on this list is important because currently toners are in really, really high demand. And even in low grades, you can fetch $80 to $200, if not more, depending upon the toning of the coin. I have a few examples here. This one is an 1884 graded mint state 65. Common date coin. It's a decent grade and it's really nice, but it has some toning on there. And that toning really shows up on the back of the coin. It almost looks like a phoenix rising from a fire. And I can't exactly see my phone to see like how well this is coming across, but I hope it's coming across well for you guys. I have another example that's much, much brighter. And this is also a common date coin. This is 1883, just a Philadelphia, in mint state 63. And if you were to look at the obverse, you're like, well, that's nothing special. There's a little bit of toning around the rim. I see some blues and golds, but when you flip it over, it just erupts in color. A mint state coin with this type of toning, just even on one side, will fetch $100, $120. And this coin right here is worth, if it didn't have this toning, you can find it for $50, $55. So toning really depends upon the buyer. How much is a buyer willing to pay for it? Because then that will designate what it's worth. If no one is willing to pay any sort of money for it, then the fad is over and nobody is really interested in toners anymore. But as long as people are paying these exorbitant prices for toners, then we're going to see this fad continue. And I think that's a good thing because toning really adds a really nice beauty to the coin. Now, this is a good example. There are other toned coins out there that are not as nice, and those usually sell for what a blast white coin would go for and don't offer any markup. And Just because your coin has like a little bit of toning on the top here, that doesn't automatically mean that you add, you know, hundreds of dollars to the price. I've seen some people do that, and I think it's just ridiculous, but I mean, that's on them, and if someone wants to pay that much for it, that's on them as well. But I think you should only be buying toned coins that have a deep, rich color to them that just really, really pop. That is what will catch people's eye. And if you had to sell this, you could easily get back what you wanted, what you paid for it, if not more. And just quickly on toners, I'm slightly worried that the market could collapse on those, and people that paid $500 on a common date coin, even though it is beautifully toned and it is just a gorgeous piece of artwork, I'm worried that they could be out that money. The items I have listed on here, they will hold their price typically, and most of the time will grow in price to the point where if you held it for 10, maybe even 20 years, you'd get more for it. All right, moving on to the fourth type of Morgan you want to collect. That is high-grade Morgans. And this depends greatly on the Morgan. If it's a common date Morgan, if it's a common date like an 1881S, the lowest grade you should collect, honestly, in my opinion, is a mint state 66. Because you can get 66 and 67 for a few $100s. You cannot do that with most Morgans, because most Morgans in that grade are worth thousands upon thousands of dollars. The average collector, the average stacker could not do that. But for common dates, you can. If you're buying common date Morgans though, that are just mint state 60, that's fine, but have the understanding that those prices tend to be attached to spot price. And they will always have a slight premium over spot price, but just because there's so many out there, it may not get that demand that you want. And if you are just stacking common date Morgans, you may run into that issue where you're not able to offload them for the price that you paid for them, or more, you might take a hit on it. So that's why high grade Morgans are always a good idea, because people see like mint state 65 and up, and they're like, oh wow, that's a really nice coin. Just make sure you're stacking some really high grade coins if it's common date. If it is a key date coin, you're going to be paying a lot of money for a high grade Morgan. Even if it's a semi key date coin, you're going to be paying a lot of money. But if you can do that, that's a good thing, because those will typically hold the price. There are not, this all goes back to these hoards. Less Morgans are being found. Therefore, the supply that is out there, even though it is slowly dwindling, they're not finding huge amounts of key date coins and then flooding the market with them, and suddenly a key date coin that you had in a high grade is suddenly a common date in a high grade. That's just not happening. So you're pretty safe getting a high grade Morgan in semi key dates and key date, and keeping and retaining that price. All right, moving on to my fifth, because this video has taken a really long time, but I feel it's important for a lot of people. The fifth type of Morgan that you should collect or stack is also my favorite, and that is all Carson City Morgans. Yes, I said all, and I will go over why. Carson City Morgans have low mintages every single year that they're minted. Even the ones that are more common date are worth a couple $100. If it's a poor grade Carson City, when I'm talking about like almost slick, a slick piece of metal, it is still worth around $100. That is insane to me. A Carson City's just really hold their value and grow. I did a video of my grandpa's coin collection. In the first one, you'll see that he has he has more, but he has 5 years, 1880 through 1885. And these are Carson Cities that he purchased from the GSA. The GSA hoard was a hoard that was found in San Francisco in a government building. I think it's Government Services Administration. Anywho, in the 70s, these were auctioned off, and he paid, I think, like 15 to 30 bucks for these Morgans. I think some of them he paid $60 for. These are mint state coins. So even though they're low mint state coins, he paid, let's say, 60 bucks for. At a minimum, some of those are worth 250, 300 bucks. Some of them are even higher than that. So the price has grown in the last 50 years to the point where if you had purchased a group of these back then, you can see that that price is growing. If that price grew to this amount right now, imagine what it could grow in a few years or a decade or 20 years when demand for these will only continue to grow and or if supplies shrink. So the fifth type of coin, also my favorite, like I said, Carson City Morgans. And I have an example here, of course, to show you. This is one of my favorites. It is 1885 Carson City, graded Mint State 64. Has a CAC sticker. And it is a really stunning piece. This is an original green holder, also known as the Rattler, from PCGS. And you can kind of, I don't know if it will show it. Let's see if I can. There you can see the CC, Carson City. So Carson City Morgans are just a good investment overall because everyone wants one. They're in high demand. If you can get them in a DMPL or a PL, even better for you. If you can find toned ones, those are always going to retain their value. So I think if you can find a coin that fits all 5 of these types, key date, DMPL, toned, high grade, Carson City, you're going to have like a really awesome coin that could be worth a lot of money. If you like Morgans, I hope this list will help you figure out which ones to collect and possibly help you from losing money, because there are some out there that you can buy and lose money on. What did you think of my list? Let me know in the freaking comments below. I always appreciate your input. It also helps me generate other ideas, and maybe I missed something. Maybe there's something that I didn't see. You guys can provide that for the audience, and we can all learn and grow together. And while you're doing it, give my video a thumbs up. Let me know that you liked it. I really do appreciate that, and I appreciate everyone's support. Thank you all for watching. This is Campbell's Coins, and that is my 2 cents.